So that's the other part to true freedom through business that I think Robert Kiyosaki talked about. Back then, he was saying buy laundromats and car wash businesses because you can get a jockey in to drive them, right? Or a jockey to run them. With online businesses and AI now, particularly with what's about to come, we can automate. So if you're in the top right-hand side of the quadrant, you're a business owner, what you need to look at your business is what can I automate in there so that I'm free, so that I drop down and become an investor. So where can this business start working by itself? And admittedly, for Liz and I, we're a bit different to other people. We weren't ever happy owning one business because one's a dangerous number. Particularly when we got online, we realized we can own multiple businesses because we were heavily influenced by our mentors who all did the same. They bought and sold multiple businesses. They would bolt them together. So in terms of if you're listening to this and either you're just starting out or you're even in business and you might be in that, the top left-hand quadrant, maybe start looking at online businesses and thinking, how can I get the cash flow up, no debt, and how can I get it running while I sleep, making money while I sleep? And then is there a way I can have multiple streams of income? Because I think that's going to become even more important in the future as well, because things are just changing so rapidly. Even what we do with online businesses, that's changed dramatically now. But it's still, the fundamentals are still there.
What up, Entrepreneur Masters? Welcome to the Persistent Entrepreneur Podcast, where grit meets inspiration. My name's David Hill, two-time author, business coach, world-class sales trainer, top real estate broker, Iron Man, 23 years sober. My mantra is I exist to persist. Each week, I'll bring you powerful stories from relentless entrepreneurs, visionary business owners, and trailblazing leaders who have mastered perseverance like me. Get ready to uncover actionable strategies, mindset shifts, and the inspiration you need to conquer your goals. Let's persist one day and one story at a time. Enjoy. Hey, what's up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of the Persistent Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we're with Matt Raad. What's going on, man? How are you?
Very well. Thanks, David. It's fantastic to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Today, we're going to talk about mastering digital assets, as well as using that to create income and wealth. So I'm excited. And let me tell you a little bit about what Matt does. 27 years, he's been helping business owners escape the 9-to-5 by turning digital assets into real world freedom. Alongside his wife, Liz, he pioneered the strategy of buying, renovating, and selling websites for cash flow long before the term digital real estate became a mainstream. Starting from scratch, Matt and Liz applied their background in business acquisitions to build a high cash flow portfolio of online business. Today, through their nationally recognized eBusiness Institute, they train career professionals, side hustlers, and families how to create time-leveraged income streams online without needing to be tech experts. So Matt is passionate about that. I appreciate you being on the podcast, man. And let's talk about how to create those online streams of income for our entrepreneurs here, man.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. As you just heard, we, over these 27 years, have set up basically what we think is the ultimate lifestyle business. We were very driven, though, when we were younger. I should mention that. And we've been fortunate to do that through mainly buying and selling businesses, all kinds of businesses. We actually started out, David, buying bricks and mortar businesses, which has heavily influenced what we do and teach these days. Bricks and mortar businesses were, for us, very challenging to run financially when you're a young entrepreneur, because we're buying and selling wholesale import businesses, which take up a lot of capital. So for us, and probably like your listeners, one of the things that we always wanted was that financial independence. We wanted to be able to, as you've all heard, we come from the country. We both grew up in the country. We wanted to live in the country, raise a family in the country. And we wanted the ability to be able to do that. And also, I come from a very poor background and I wanted financial independence. So that was our goal for getting into business all those years ago. I know your audience are all entrepreneurs or want to escape the rat race or find ways. And I guess that's been our journey. that our mission for the last 30 odd years, from the day we first met, we both decided, let's figure this out. Let's get out of this. We can't work in zoology. It's not going to pay any money. You're at the whim of the government. So that's basically been our journey ever since. And we transitioned around 2008. That's when we transitioned over to buying and selling digital assets, which is obviously now in this day and age is a really exciting space. So that's our story.
Was there
in
a
nutshell.
reason you switched from buying like brick and mortar to digital?
Good question, and that's really important for your listeners. It's on the surface, it sounds really exciting. We were buying and selling these bricks and mortar businesses, like I said, wholesale businesses and manufacturing businesses. And the biggest problem was that we were constantly in debt to the bank. And as young entrepreneurs, it really held us back. Also, as you can imagine, being honest about it, we nearly went bankrupt a few times. Doesn't take much to tip over when all your net worth is sitting in a warehouse somewhere. So we were exporting to America, it's our favorite country, and also to Europe, but mainly we had some big contracts in America, and trying to get, physical inventory on boats and things. There's a lot of complex moving parts. And I guess we're like, around that time, we started to read, like a lot of your listeners may have done, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And we were really lucky in that we met someone. We were buying and selling quite a few businesses. We met a broker. And then through that, we started working with high net worths who were buying and selling businesses basically that's how they did it, exactly like how Rich Dad, Poor Dad wrote about. So I remember he wrote the rich quadrant, and he said, you want to get over into the right-hand side, which is become a true investor in business. We were very fortunate. We were meeting real people doing this, and we got some really good mentors out of that. And that was just because of our background of buying and selling manufacturing businesses. And these guys, what they were doing, they were treating businesses as an asset. So they would raise funds, they would buy and sell multiple businesses, they'd bolt them together and float them on the stock exchange. This is here in Australia. So these were very successful individuals, very private, very wealthy. And basically, they took us under their wings, and so we got to go around these factories out in grungy industrial areas, and we would find great businesses to buy for them and for ourselves as well. But it really opened our eyes. And one of our mentors in particular said to us, forget about trying to be an investor at first into real estate and things like that. Go get your cash flows sorted, because your debt's holding you back. And so for us, we never really did the real estate thing. I know probably a lot of your listeners and yourself are big into real estate, and that's fine. It wasn't our path. We did things very differently. So we never really bought real estate. And to answer your big question, why did we pivot to digital? Because it was so much easier. You didn't have to outlay hundreds of thousands of dollars, have all this money tied up in a warehouse. There's no complexities to it. Literally, David, the first website we ever bought, we were in America within hours, which was mind-blowing to us. So you've got to remember, this is back in 2008 when online businesses weren't as big. So here we were used to going through all the paperwork and putting stuff on a boat and whatever, trying to get in physical inventory or do business with America. Buy one website, next morning, we're making money, literally while we slept. Wake up in the morning, there's money in the bank account. We'd never, ever seen that before in business. And they were cash flow from day one. And
so when you say you bought a website, explain, what does that mean for people that aren't clear on what that, because I wasn't clear. So what does that mean?
Yep. Yeah, I forget that people don't realize what that might mean. So traditionally, when people hear us buying and selling online businesses, they immediately think, oh, you're buying e-commerce businesses. That wasn't what we bought because of our background with physical inventory. We wanted nothing to do with e-commerce. We bought what's called advertising sites or lead gen sites. So basically, it's just an information website. It's got ads on it or affiliate offers, and it's got lots of traffic coming to it, has a following, and we buy that, and that's what we own. And it gets transferred to you. Basically, you take over the domain name and all the content that's sitting on the website. And now
so you own the traffic. Is that what you guys own?
We own the traffic.
Sell the leads. Is that essentially your the companies or the end user
Pays
will
us a
be.
commission.
Say that again.
They pay us a commission. So an
Pay you
affiliate commission.
Got
So
it.
someone clicks on a link on the website, they go over to the business, it's all tracked by cookies, and then that's assigned to us, and we get like a 10% commission or a 20% commission if
Smart.
that person
It's
buys.
super smart. So what do
Yeah.
you guys run ads? Is that what you essentially run, like
You can
Facebook ads and different?
Yeah, you can put ads and also organic traffic. So a lot of these websites have a lot of history behind them, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for we found the sweet spot was passion sites, small little passion sites that, so saying gardening or crafting or learning how to play golf, learning how to play a guitar, and someone's built up a following, and then they come over and they typically either click on an ad. So it's kind of like an online billboard. Basically, you're becoming the new media company. You know how in the old days, there used to be magazines at the newsagents about knitting or golfing or cars or finance or any of those. Remember in the old days, newsstands, all the rows and rows. So we just do that online now. That's literally what's happened. That's what the internet's done to traditional media. It's
But who's your
killed
customer then? Because like for us, if I use the magazine example, we had a readership of people who managed
Yep.
condominiums, lived in condominiums, and essentially were decision makers in condo communities. Like the people that wanted those people advertised in our magazine. Who do you reach?
Exactly the same people. So we build, say, or buy a website that is about condominiums and it has a readership. We give great advice for those sorts of people. The advertisers are people that want to reach that target audience. And so we make money off them. So I'll give you a really simple example. I've got two very powerful examples, one big, one small. So the small one is we've got clients here, Nathan and Alexa, they're laptop lifestylers. They do exactly this. They found a website that was neglected here in Australia. It's about gardening, native Australian gardens, right? So pretty niche. And you would think, how do you make money off that? But there are people, turns out there's lots of people interested in that topic. So the audience is people interested in native Australian gardens. They said to the gentleman, this guy had run it for 10 years. He didn't know how to make much money. He was bored with it. They noticed it had just been sitting empty no one had posted on it he hadn't posted on it for a year or two. So they emailed him and said, hey, notice you haven't done much with your website in the last year. Would you be interested in selling it? And he said, sure, I was just going to close it down. This is quite common. $400 they got it for. That site now makes them $4,000 a month because they realized they were already in the niche. They knew it. They realized they could fix it up. And they got the traffic to, I think it's like in the peak in spring, about 70,000 people a month are visiting that website. So that's a lot. That's a big audience, right? So all they do is then they put ads on there around gardening. So they go on, so they can either find direct sponsors, people in the gardening niche. I told them on one of the coaching calls, because I've coached these guys for years. I said, why don't you go to a local trade show here in Australia and go and find out who are all the main players in this industry and tell them you've got this leading website, you fixed it up, you're looking for new sponsorship deals and get direct sponsors or ads. So they've been given heaps of freebies to review. Also, they run Amazon affiliate ads on there, and they've also got Google AdSense on there. So Google AdSense is very automated. And what it does, it automatically serves the right ads for your audience. And that's where it becomes, I won't say it's passive or anything like that, but it's semi-passive when you run. Google Ads is 101 stuff, but it works really well. But that's a simple example. So they just put banner ads on there and sponsorship deals.
So similar to somebody that has a business that's struggling and ready to sell, you guys would come in before, buy the business, take over everything. You got inventory, you got all, but now you're just doing it with online stuff. So there's no inventory. That makes a ton of sense. You guys, so are you guys like expert at like SEO and running ads and stuff like that? Is that kind of
all of the above? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. I want to go back to, so now it's all clicking my apologies. Hopefully the people listening too, because there's people that are really good at that. I'm not really good at that, but we need people like that to help us grow our stuff. Go back to the Kiyosaki, because I pulled it up, the quadrants.
Yep.
So so the first top left is employees and bottom is investors.
Yep.
So your goal is, you said, get from the employee to the investor.
Absolutely. That was
So
always
how would someone else utilize this business to do that? Or are they just going to hire you? Is that like you're
no,
going to
no,
help
no.
them get there?
For someone who's an employee, this is so for the last 15 years, we've been coaching people that work long hours. There's a lot of burnout out there working. I don't call it, no one works 9 to 5 anymore here in Australia and in America. We've got a lot of American clients. People these days seem to work 5 till 9. So what we say is don't quit your
Mm.
job. What you want to do is build up a side hustle. And I know it's almost a cliched term, but it is, especially with AI now, especially with what's about to come in AI, I think it's more important than ever. If you're listening to this and you're wanting to become an entrepreneur, if you're not yet one, don't quit your job just yet. Build a side hustle so that you can move. Like you're saying, Dave, it's a really good point. How do you get from that the left-hand side employee, over to being an investor? And what you want to do is there's a step in between, which Liz and I had to do, which you have to learn how to run a business and be an entrepreneur. You have to listen to stories like what's on your podcast, The Persistent Entrepreneur. You need that inspiration. That's what Liz and I needed. We just had to fill our heads with ideas. That's why we hung out with all these mentors. Once we saw how you do it, then you start to implement. And it doesn't happen overnight. Sorry to tell you, it's not a get rich thing. It is, in our experience. So it took us a long time. We've been doing this for 30 years. By getting the right mentors, yes, you can obviously increase that journey. But essentially, my main advice now is there is no possible downside to starting a side hustle in this day and age. And you have to do it because Robert Kiyosaki says, and Warren Buffett, world's most famous investor, he says is if you can't figure out how to make money when you sleep, you're never going to be rich. You're never or financially independent. You have to figure out how to do it. So your goal should be, and when you think about it,
That's awesome.
that becoming an investor, right? That's really what Robert's saying is what Warren Buffett said, which is figuring out how to make money while you sleep. I think that's the ultimate form of leverage. And I think that's what excited Liz and I all those years ago about the internet and business as well, is trying to figure out how do you make it so that it's not, I wouldn't call it passive. It's just so that you can make money while you sleep and get leverage. And you think about internet businesses tick every single box for that. We literally make money while we sleep. The business works 24/7 and it's worldwide. There are no borders for us whatsoever. So, but to reach the promised land of that, I think there's a big gap in the middle, the knowledge gap, where you've got to go through the other parts of Robert's, particularly the top right-hand side, become a business owner. You need to understand what it's like to be a business owner. And for us, we like to get people buying or building little tiny micro businesses or side hustles just in their part-time in the evenings while they're still working. So it's a much easier transition because we know a lot of people that hear us, they've got kids, they've got family, they've got mortgages. I don't think it's smart to quit your job straight away because we see people make mistakes then too. They get too stressed, obviously around money. So we say do it in a more gentle fashion, which is stage it over a year or something like that and work on it in the evenings and the weekends.
So yeah, okay. So it's listening to what you just said. So it's funny because I didn't even think about this, but when I woke up this morning, one of the first things I noticed is last night I got paid on PayPal $297, and then
that's awesome.
There were 2 Stripe payments.
Yep.
As I listen to you, I'm thinking, why did I not have 20 payments of $297 this morning when I woke up?
That's what I was going to throw out there, David. Can I give you a coaching call? My first thought is when we get a client who makes their first $297 online overnight while they sleep, I get so excited. I say, you know what? You've only got to do that 9 more times and you're getting probably close towards financial independence.
Yeah, $1 million business is $3,000. What is it, like $3,000 a day?
Yep.
And you do that 350 days a year, you got $1 million business.
What we say to people is, you know what our first goal, actually coming back to your awesome question, how do you get to that I in the Rich Dad quadrant? We say to people, learn how to get to your first $1,000 online a month. Because once you've done that, if you can earn $1,000, right, online, then you've just got to do it 9 more times And that pretty much replaces most people's incomes, because most people want to earn 100 to 120 grand a year across the board. So we speak to thousands of people every year, both here in Australia and in America. America and Australia are our main markets that we teach people. And we find consistently when we ask people, what's your freedom number? It's normally about 100 to 120 grand a year. Actually, some people it's gone up, but realistically, their quit their job number is 10 grand a month net. That's net profit, by the way, if you're an entrepreneur, not sales, net profit. So so what we do is you just work backwards from there. It's really easy. When you know your number, you just work backwards. You go, all right, I've got to get to 10 grand a month. All right. So what I've got to do is I've never made money online before. I've got to figure out how to make my first dollar online and then my first $1,000 in a month net. Once you've done that, just rinse and repeat 9 times. That's it. And you're free.
I'm going to share the window here. This is the
it?
quadrants,
Perfect.
right?
Yep.
So most people get stuck right up in I don't know. I think most people become self-employed, and
Yep.
then some make it to business owner, which I would say is probably where I am for the most part. I do have some small investments, but certainly not enough. Yeah. What do you see as the place where most people tend to get stuck, and how do they get to that next stage?
Masters, we're going to get you right back to the show. I want to talk to you real quick about our Real Estate Listings Club. If you're a real estate agent and you want to master the listing game, you need to look at our club. We have over 130 online lessons that you can do whenever you choose. We also get together 3 times a week, okay? Twice a week, we're on group training, coaching calls where you can get Q&A, you ask questions, you get live training, you do role plays, and then we also have a live call session every week. We have top real estate agents all over the country that are all together, collaborating with each other, supporting each other, holding each other accountable, and taking listings. So check out realestatelistings.club. It's the best investment you will ever make into your real estate business. And then finally, don't forget about our new tool. It's called Ringleader AI. Go to our site, ringleaderai.net, or test drive it for yourself. Call right now, 774-214-2076. Take a test drive and let us know what you think. Guys, all these tools are available on my site, which is davidhill.ai. Again, davidhill.ai. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, the self-employed or the business owner, because that's where Liz and I were. And the reason we were so stuck was because of debt. And the complexities of running a bricks and mortar business. And there was no easy leverage. And then when we started hanging around these guys who are in the investors, they basically just ran around doing deals, like putting business deals together, and they got people to run everything. So that's the other part to true freedom through business that I think Robert Kiyosaki talked about. Back then, he was saying buy laundromats and car wash businesses because you can get a jockey in to drive them, right? Or jockey to run them. With online businesses and AI now, particularly with what's about to come, we can automate. So if you're in the top right-hand side of the quadrant, you're a business owner, what you need to look at your business is what can I automate in there so that I'm free, so that I drop down and become an investor. So where can this business start working by itself? And admittedly, for Liz and I, we're a bit different to other people. We weren't ever happy owning one business because one's a dangerous number. Particularly when we got online, we realized we can own multiple businesses because we were heavily influenced by our mentors who all did the same. They bought and sold multiple businesses. They would bolt them together. So in terms of if you're listening to this and either you're just starting out or you're even in business and you might be in that, the top left-hand quadrant, maybe start looking at online businesses and thinking, how can I get the cash flow up, no debt, and how can I get it running while I sleep, making money while I sleep? And then is there a way I can have multiple streams of income? Because I think that's going to become even more important in the future as well, because things are just changing so rapidly. Even what we do with online businesses, that's changed dramatically now. But it's still, the fundamentals are still there. But I really like that you put that diagram up. I think it's like the holy grail, isn't it, David? As an entrepreneur, you don't always get there. You drift in and out too. And it's an interesting question that you say, what do we see most people in? They drop between the B and the I on the right-hand side. There's nothing wrong with being a business owner there, especially if you're passionate about it. Like for me, I've always been able to wake up at 5 a.m. and go straight into my business stuff because I love it. So if you find a business that you love, it's not a problem being a
So I think
business owner.
about the B and the S though is if the S is self-employed means I'm essentially what I'm doing is I'm doing everything. Right?
And
Like if I'm correct, I'm like I'm the
yes,
showing up, I'm the everything guy in the business. Then when you're a business owner, you actually go and you hire some people and you have
yeah.
is
So
that
on that,
correct?
that's a really good point. And one extra really important thing that I would add to there, you're swapping time for money. So
Mm,
on that left-hand
yeah.
side of the quadrant, it require not only does it require you're swapping time for money. What's the problem with swapping time for money? There's only 24 hours in a day. No matter if you work 16-hour days, there's only so much you can earn when you're swapping time for money. So you're not getting leverage. So you've got to find a way to leverage it. So within becoming an investor, like Robert Kiyosaki says, and a bunch of our mentors say, it's all well and good to swap time for money. That's fine. But that's what Warren Buffett's trying to say as well. You're still better at some point find a vehicle of some kind that generates wealth for you while you sleep. So where you're not swapping time money. So that's why real estate works so well for most people. We're just different. We've just done it through businesses. But for most people, real estate can work really well for that. That allows you to become a full-time investor. So, well, a big investor. So you still might be swapping time for money on one side, but on the other side, at least you've got real estate investments. Or for us, we invest in companies. So have always invested in shares or private companies or bought and sold businesses. That's our thing. So you've got to pick a vehicle that gives you money while you sleep, so you're not swapping time for money for it, and that it's also compounding and building wealth. And of course, in our opinion, businesses are the ultimate compounders. You can get them up to 30% returns, 50% returns, so that compounds your wealth very quickly when you get them working. And that's the other, I think, what Robert Kiyosaki was, and I think in recent years he's become even bigger on that as well, is the power of business. I don't think the average person realizes when you get a good business working, far out, it compounds your wealth. It really does. We're not talking 5% returns anymore. And I know there's more risk with a business, understandably, that's fine. So you would expect much higher returns. But when we look back over our career, talking about generating wealth, our biggest returns have always been in businesses. Always.
Mm.
I've never seen anything like it across all that. We own crypto, we own shares, we own real estate. Even now we're looking at it going, where do we stick our money? Is the share market at an all-time high? It just comes back to businesses. And we're not good enough. Real estate's not our thing. And we think we're at an all-time high with real estate here in Australia. So we're not prepared to take the risk with big debt. So it's businesses because they're light and nimble. And if you're listening to this on that one too, can I just throw that out as a bit of a warning for everyone? In this current world, something else we're passionate about, if I've inspired you to get into business, keep it scrappy and safe. And so I think scrappy is an American term, which I love, which is buy smaller businesses. Don't get sucked into this thing where you got to go out and buy $1 million businesses and stuff like that, or go into debt for it. Learn how to stay small and scrappy because it's a lot safer in this world because things are changing. There's no guarantees with business, but if you're keeping it small and safe and you still got cash flow from your job, you're probably going to do pretty well. That's our experience across our community.
So you mentioned AI a couple of times.
Yeah.
What is some of give us a couple, like you mentioned it twice. So what are your thoughts? Like I know you mentioned automation, like
Yep.
automate things, but give us a couple examples of how you think our listeners could use AI to create this additional stream of income.
Once you understand the processes and the levers that are making money in any business, don't care what the business is, whether it's bricks and mortar or online, you should be starting to look at the tools, the AI tools that are available to automate things. And it is just mind-blowing what's happened, David, even as we're recording this now in the last month. So amongst Liz and I and our team, every day, Liz is showing me a new tool, same as me. And admittedly, we're at the forefront of this, we're loving it. And our team, we're constantly swapping notes. What are you using? And it's really exciting. It's also a little bit scary just how quickly and how much better it is in the last month, what these tools can do. They can completely replace sales teams. They can do all the outreach, and that's just at a basic level at the moment. They can obviously vibe code things, not that I'm recommending that. Yeah, where basically you don't have to be a coder now to create software.
Oh, sure.
It's
Yeah,
really, and it's becoming
it's wild.
and each of the main tools. So what we're also really passionate about and about to really start telling people is, I think going in the future, you've got to play with AI. Like it would be just make sure, and I'm presuming a lot of people are, if they're listening to your entrepreneur podcast and they're interested in tech and digital things, at least be using ChatGPT, get comfortable with it, or Gemini, or any of those, and Claude. They're the three main ones that we play with. But there's just so many tools that can automate so many things now in our businesses. You can create AI bots to basically even read your emails and tell you what you should and shouldn't answer. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do out there. But I think it's important to learn the processes first yourself. We've always been like that. We've been very hands-on. No matter what we've taught people, we always say, do it yourself. I know everyone says you should outsource it or just use AI straight up. I don't agree. I think you've got to learn the process first and then use the tools, because you're going to be heaps better at prompting the AI to get what you want. But AI can, especially with digital businesses, AI can, it can replace a lot of team. It's going to get scary for some people out there, I think, in this next 12 months.
Yeah, I'm a fanatic with AI, which is why I asked. I spend time every day learning. Do you do a podcast as well?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a tool. Are you familiar with Descript?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Descript is ridiculous. I just gave it to my VA and she can produce a better podcast for $70 on Descript, and I was paying people $350 an episode for $70 a month, and then it cost her 2 hours. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and we're the same with our podcast now. We've just started it's all automated. Once we record it, you get what's the new transcription? We used to use Rev, but now we just use Notter, I think, a tool called Notter. And then we've just written a prompt where it summarizes it, SEOs, the article, everything. Pulls out even quotes, everything, pulls out quotes. And then it will, not only that, it'll write an appropriate, it's not perfect, but write a pretty darn good LinkedIn post suitable for LinkedIn, writes a post for Facebook, and it all just happens straight away. Everything just gets sent out through, I think we're using Make at the moment, which.
Oh my God, it's so funny. It's so funny you said that. Look at what's on my screen right now. This is wild that you just said that.
We like Make.
Sitting on my screen.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me about it this morning, so I left the browser open just because I'm gonna play around with it later, because we're still using Zapier.
Yeah, no, we've gone over to Make. But what I was going to say, David, you'll find this funny, even in the last month. So we've been traveling for the last month, Liz and I, and Liz is constantly looking at the AI stuff. And she said, man, even Make's getting disrupted. Like there's better tools to Make now. So one of our team members sent to us and said,
are you familiar with N8N? I keep hearing about N8N, but I looked at it and you literally it's such a hard learning curve. I'm like, I just can't do this.
Maybe that's a new one. Yeah. So even Make is about to be disrupted. But Make, if you listen to this, Make's really good at automating. And like you said, David, what system things do we? I'm not sure how much detail your audience wants, but for us, Make has allowed us to automate something that used to take a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Just as a really simple example, because you're listening to this podcast, what we do with podcasts, literally we can record it and the next day it's ready to go with posts for all the social media channels. And is it perfect? No, but it doesn't have to be in this day and age. It's all about the touch points. And one interesting thing is with AI, I was never a fan of using AI to create content, but looking at what we're doing now, it's just it's better than what I can write. It is really come a long way in the last 6 months, I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
It is just mind blowing how well it does write things now, and it can take on the voice. Once you program it all, it's pretty easy. So I don't want to scare anyone who's not into AI, and I know a lot of people are worried, but the good news is once you start playing with these tools and you understand the foundations, as you're finding, David, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? And you do work it out. It's not, that's the other thing. It's a lot easier to work out now.
Yeah. And the other challenge of it is there's so much. It's like you said,
Yeah.
make is, listen, I was using Jasper 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've been
Yeah,
playing around with
same.
AI for a while.
And
I've got assistants. I've got 3 agents that handle inbound calls. So I'm pretty deep into it. But now I'm at the next level where like you, I'm trying to automate everything I can. Even a
everything we can.
podcast, like you sign up, you got a link. What did it do? It set up everything for us.
Yeah.
Set up the
And
booking call, sent you the link, it even
yeah.
threw it into ChatGPT, which created some questions and some thumbnail ideas and some title
Yeah.
ideas. And so, yeah, it
That-
was just like before we
That's
used to spend hours doing that stuff. Hours, man.
I know. Yeah, that's exactly what we're using it for. And one of the actually, I'll give a tip for our listeners that came from one of our coaches. We have a lovely coach called Lucy. She's, I'm not allowed to say her age, but she's near retirement age. So she's a bit older than us and she's not technical at all, but she started with us many years ago. She loves being around. She's a really good friend now of Liz and I, but she also works for us as a coach. And she started out buying and selling websites. Her story was, she got diagnosed with one of those incurable diseases and was told she had to stop work, so she could never work again. So she's moved out to the country, lives a very natural lifestyle, cured herself. I'm not allowed to say that you cure yourself, but fixed herself so that her and her husband, and they have a very stress-free life with their online businesses, which they learned how to do from us. So they bought and sold businesses. They make significant 6-figure income doing that. But she's never been that technical. And in the last year, we've been saying to her, start learning what you and I are talking about here, David. And she's just embraced it like you would not believe. But her hack, she was showing us some really complex stuff. So she's building a website right now, a directory site. So you coming from a publishing background find this interesting. And this is a key strategy that we teach. She lives in a very beautiful area in Australia. It's up in the hinterlands. It overlooks the coast. It's an iconic, beautiful area. So there's lots of tourists go there, and it's stunning. So she's created a local directory site, online directory site, where she will get businesses to advertise, local businesses in her community to advertise on there. And it's kind of like a newsletter for the local area. Now, in the past, we teach this strategy every year. It's a really good money-making strategy if you live in one of those areas. They typically make anywhere from about $70,000 to $100,000 a year with simple little listings of businesses. It's a really simple business model. But I used to say to people, it takes a lot of work to build this because you've got to get around and talk to everyone in the community. You've got to create all the content. And I said, it's not passive, but it's really good fun and they're really good assets because you can sell them out later. So Lucy, listening to me and Liz talk about use AI for everything, it's just automated everything. And she's literally building it totally with AI. And we're going, how did you do this? You don't know anything technical. She's programmed, like it's really complex program that she's done. She goes, oh no, it was simple, Matt. I just went on to Upwork and hired someone for $20 an hour, an AI guy. I guess I got no idea what he's doing. I just told him, here's what I want. And he's just built, he's
Smart,
just done all the AI. So even for someone like Lucy, she's in retirement age in the 60s or whatever, you can just hire people on Upwork now to help you set up all these automations. But she did have what I said earlier in this podcast, the knowledge of what she needed to do. That's the bit that you need. So if you're transitioning out of being an employee to an investor, you need that knowledge bit in between. You need to know what the processes are. But the good news is you can just do what Lucy's doing, which is just hire a tech on a website called upwork.com. We get heaps of stuff on there. And the good news is the prices have come down quite a bit on Upwork now because of AI.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be more competitive. So you should see what she's done. It is absolutely brilliant.
I'm sure we've been playing around in that space. Upwork 15 years, man. Upwork's been around for a long time. But mostly just for hiring VAs in the past to run our real estate business. But I still own a real estate brokerage with my wife, which primarily funds our life still. I just love this stuff here. I guess this is my side hustle, right? Like the affiliates, the $297. I got like $700 while I was sleeping last night. To me, it's transitioning from the real estate brokerage to that is funding my life.
See, the cool thing is you're building up another asset here. What you're doing with Persistent Entrepreneur, and for anyone listening, you can do exactly the same as David. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a side hustle that's also, though, David, it's an asset. That's the other beautiful thing about digital businesses. They actually become assets. It's not like you're swapping time for money and then at the end of it, you get nothing when you quit. You've at least got an asset. Someone would probably want to buy a persistent entrepreneur down the track because it's not necessarily built around it's a really cool domain name when you think about it. Persistent entrepreneur. You got, how many episodes have you done now? You were telling me 400 or whatever it was.
Oh man, I don't know. We released, this morning went out. That's a good question. 4:30 or something. Let me look. 4:40.
Yeah.
Yeah, this morning, the magic of storytelling. She didn't put the episode number. She missed the episode number, so got to get back to her. But yeah, I'll have to go back and add the episode numbers. But let's see. The last episode number we had was, wow, she hasn't done it in a while. 429. Oh, wait, 427. Right. So 28, 20, 30, and 30. So 435 episodes.
So the lesson here too is it's not just the episodes, it's an asset. It's the niche audience that you have. And that's what's worth the big money in this day and age. If you're listening to this, and for you, David, as well, and for everyone, you've got to understand now traffic, especially in this AI age, is so much more valuable than it was even 12 months ago. If you've got niche traffic in a topic like persistent entrepreneur or gardening, or a friend of ours, Albors, he sold a car website here in Australia for $64 million. Built it from scratch. Wow. And he's gone and replicated it. Why? Because the audience, niche audiences are worth mega bucks these days. Followings, because it's hard to get. It's really hard to get. Talk about being persistent. If you're persistent at something, no matter what you're doing. And the cool thing to shortcut all that time is, if you've got the money, is just to buy someone else's audience, which is buy a business. And that's basically what we do. So you can either build it up yourself like you've done over time, being persistent, cool domain name, by the way, and do 400 episodes and build a big following, or you can go and buy a business like David's, or in the gardening niche or the golfing niche or guitar niche or whatever. It's that niche audience, though. Just be thinking about that if you're interested in getting into online businesses. Don't have a big, broad audience, particularly if you're trying to stay small and scrappy. I would always go niche audience is where the money is. It can be worth a lot of money. I think we're about to see that become even more important in this time and age of mass media online, with so much content being produced out there. It's those with the big followings that will make the big money down the track.
So tell people the best way to get in touch with you if they want to connect with you, or do you have, best way to get in touch with you?
You can find me, search my name, Matt Raad, R-A-A-D, but the main site, if you want to check us out and what we teach, is ebusinessinstitute.com.au. And we've got a free masterclass on there about buying and selling websites and what we and our clients buy. We go through the whole strategy. And also we talk about the course at the end of it, but just listen to the free masterclass. Take you about an hour or so, and you'll have the strategy dialed in if it's something that you want to do. So you can just check us out on ebusinessinstitute.com.au. Or we've got Excellent. Our podcast, digitalinvestors.com, which is lots of inspirational stories of people that are doing it.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for being here, and give you the final words. What do you want people to take away from this today? Final thoughts. If there's one thing they walk away with, what's it going to be?
If you're going to become an entrepreneur and you're transitioning from being an employee, start out small and safe, start out small and scrappy. To figure out how to either start a side hustle for under 50K or under 10K even. And transition over time.
I love it. Appreciate you, man. Thanks again for your time.
No, likewise, David. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Persistent Entrepreneur Podcast. Remember, I exist to persist, and so do you. Now make sure to check out our tools at davidhill.ai. And for you real estate agents, don't miss the 7-day opportunity to join our community and get full access to our training, coaching, and events. Let's connect on social media, and a big shout out to our sponsor, Vulcan 7, your go-to for the best real estate listing seller data. Visit vulcan7.com/path to mastery for a special offer for our listeners. And guys, don't forget, subscribe to the show, leave us a review and share your feedback. Let me know, let us know if there's a guest you'd like to hear from or what topics you want us to explore. Appreciate you, entrepreneurs. Let's keep going one day, one show at a time. You rock.